a very renowned artist, specialising in portraiture, but I know, Mark, you like to go and paint outside plein air as well. He's also a member of a society in Oxford, and in 2007 he was elected to be a member of the Royal Birmingham Society of Artists. Mark runs workshops as well as getting involved in Zooms. We're very fortunate that you're able to do Zoom, Mark. Many artists haven't actually acquired the skill yet. So thank you for that. I know that we will like to see you live if that's for, if we can do that in the future. Is that okay, Mark? Would you like to come and see us live? You're mute. You need to unmute yourself. It's going to be a very quiet show.
Unmute. I didn't even know I muted myself.
Yeah, we did it for you, you see. We do.
Oh, right. Okay.
If people are noisy, Ian switches them off. It's normally me. He switches me off mostly. So Mark's going to be, well, tell us about what you're going to do today, Mark, because I know that you and I spoke last week about how you were going to tackle this Zoom demonstration.
Right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a portrait in the Zorn palette in oils. So basically the Anders Zorn palette, 3 colours plus white. So what I've got, I've taken the liberty to mix a few colours before I get started, give me a bit of a head start. So I've got ivory black, cadmium red light, which replaces vermilion, which is far too expensive for me to use, yellow ochre, and it could be titanium white, but I like Michael Harding warm white, so I'm using that, which is more like a lead white, really good substitute for lead white. And hopefully with that simple primary palette, we'll create some harmony in the flesh tones. That's kind of it, really. So I work wet on wet generally, and yeah, let's get cracking. I'm running out of characters with all these lockdowns. I'm not seeing the people I normally see, but so I'm struggling with who to paint these days. I keep finding people online, and I'm not sure whether I should be doing that. But anyway, I've got a guy called Alan here who's a mate of mine. Came around for some passport pictures the other day, and I'm just going to paint that. Looks a bit of like a police identikit picture, but but I think it'll do the job.
Mark, just tell us a little bit about the canvas and what ground you've put on and your brushes. I work on all sorts of things. I mean, I work on canvas mounted to board. This one's stretch canvas. I stretch my own canvas, sort of 10 ounce, just regular 10 ounce canvas. And I've primed it with acrylic. What have I primed it with? Burnt sienna and white, basically. So it gives me a bit of a head start with the skin tone there. So I like a mid-tone ground to work my darks and lights against. Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
The brushes I use, well,
are very damaged.
I use Rosemary & Co brushes, and short flats mainly. I have the odd filbert, but mainly short flats, and I use a round just for little details at the end, like the little twinkle in the eye, that kind of thing. What else? Paint wise, I'm not loyal to any brand, although I won £500 worth of Winsor & Newton last year, but I tend to, I use a mix. So I've got Michael Harding warm white, and the others are Winsor & Newton. Oh, actually the cadmium red light is Michael Harding, because I can't get that in Winsor & Newton. Very expensive stuff though, but not as pricey as vermilion. And I just use Jackson's low odor thinners as my solvent. That's it, really. And if I'm working over a few days, I'll add a touch of linseed oil, or if I think it's going to take a bit longer, poppy seed oil. Okay, so I'm going to crack on.
Just one thing before you start, I've just been asked why you're working in a portrait style, and I say portrait, vertical style. I think it was Zoe asked the question. It's because Mark's very tall, and we've gone through all this, and it seems to be the best image that we can get on Zoom.
Yeah, does it not work too well for you guys?
I think you've got to work on how you feel happiest, Mark.
Yeah.
But is it not looking big enough on your screens? Is that what you mean?
No, it's just you carry on. I'm just
Yeah.
I know. I want it to be right. I want it to be right for you. And do say if the lighting looks wrong or something, I can fiddle with that as we go along. But every now and again, I'll turn it off because it does glare a bit sometimes. But hopefully that'll work.
Mark, sorry.
Yeah.
It's Ian here. Can you just switch to the landscape mode because you're about to start work? We're not talking directly to the camera. Maybe it will give us a better image. Swing
You
the
want
camera.
landscape, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark, do you want to break halfway through as well, or do you want to just crack on?
I want to crack on. I need as much time as possible.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how much I'll get done in the time. We'll see. But can I crack on now?
Yep. Crack
Yeah.
on.
And I don't mind if it goes over a bit. Is that straight or is that wonky?
It's good enough.
Okay.
We'll all.
I can turn it. Tell me to turn it. If you want me to turn that, I can turn it a bit.
Yep. Perfect. Perfect.
Is that better?
Far better.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Now I may well hit the phone with my shoulder now and again. You'll get a because it's landscape. It's sticking out a bit. I can't really avoid that. I've got like about 2.5 foot space between the phone and the canvas, and my shoulders here.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
See how it goes. If it doesn't work, we can flip it back the other way. Let's go.
Okay.
Keep talking to me. I don't like it when it goes too quiet. Okay,
I'm slightly worried what you're advertising on your back.
What's that?
I'm slightly worried what you're advertising on your back.
What is it? Rosemary brushes?
Handmade. You're handmade at the moment.
Handmade rosemary brushes.
Oh, right, it's okay then.
She gave me a few freebies, which helps promote them while I'm teaching.
That's a very good idea, isn't it? She's a very clever woman.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We'll give you some of Clifton Arts.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be any good unless you're actually in our southwest area.
Okay, so just going to place the head. I tend to avoid grids and work as if I'm working from life when I'm using photographs. Right, so I use the measurement comparison method. There you go. My shoulder's getting hitting the camera already, isn't it?
It's fine, Mark. Carry on.
Sorry about that.
When you've got everything placed, Mark, I think I might ask you to tell us a bit about your background and how you got into art.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let me just concentrate on this for a bit.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I mean, obviously, this can be a bit time consuming and a bit boring to watch this first stage, but I need to get these measurements right. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I usually end up being a bit out with this on these demos and adjust it as we go along, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so roughly position the eyes, center of the face, through the center of the nose down to the center of the chin. Okay, right, really squinting now, looking for dark and light. Dark down the side of the nose. When the brush, I kind of like using the brush when it goes a bit dry. I like to use it for shading, so I can work it out tonally as I go along.
Have you got a bit burnt sienna on that brush, Mark? What is it?
No, it's just a mix of the black and the red with a touch of yellow ochre in it. So
okay.
obviously I've only got those colors, but yeah, I mean, that's another palette I use. You know, sometimes I use a palette with burnt sienna and alizarin crimson, cadmium red, yellow ochre, Naples yellow, and titanium white or warm white. So I vary the palette a bit, to be honest. I like trying different things. I mean, I paint with palette knives as well, and I tend to use that palette more with a palette knife. I find that the burnt sienna doesn't dry as quickly as burnt umber, so I find that useful. If I'm working over a period of, you know, like 3 or 4 days, sometimes 4 or 5. I mean, it depends how it's going. So squinting like crazy at the moment, trying to trying to block out detail and just see dark and light. Is the light working okay on the canvas? I'd had a bit of a problem the other day because I've got some new lights, and it was I found that the light was sort of bouncing off the canvas a bit.
No, I think it looks fine. Is well, there's only other Ian. Ian, do you think that looks fine? Oh, Ian's gone to sleep.
Has he already?
I haven't. I unmuted myself. Sorry.
If anybody's got any questions, please send them on chat, or we can talk later, and then I can ask Mark as we go along.
Just make sure I haven't left too much solvent on the camera, so we'll be slipping around.
Do you work purely from commissions, Mark?
Yeah, I've got a few on at the moment. Actually, been quite a busy year. I mean, it's not a full-time job, to be honest. I worked in advertising as an art director for over 30 years, and then I got diagnosed with lymphoma a few years back, and I was painting alongside that, you know, every weekend for about 20 years or so, and decided to pack up work, get out of a business that I was beginning to hate, and do my own thing. But yeah, I was asked to do a few demos over the years, and I kind of got into it, in, you know, part time, just sort of evenings and things, and so it's kind of, I suppose it's sort of semi-retirement for me, really. It's not a full-time job. It's but saying that, I'm juggling about 4 commissions at the moment and finding it quite hard work. Feels like a job at the minute.
Yeah, I think we all struggle with that, Mark, when we get to a point of professionalism, that do we just keep it as a hobby artist, or do we actually move into more commercial?
Yeah, I mean, for me it's like a bit of extra, you know. It just helps, mind you, pays for holidays and things like that, which we're not really having much of these days.
It'll all come back eventually.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to get to Spain. I've got a daughter in Spain, 3 grandchildren over there. Got another one in Cape Town, 2 grandchildren over there. So I'm hoping to get back over and see them this year in Spain. Anyway.
Mark, I'm also from Cape Town. You can rest assured you're not going to get there very soon.
I thought I recognised that accent. Who's that? Is that
me, Ian?
Oh, right, Ian. I thought you might be. What part of Cape Town?
Milnerton.
So
I look back on Table Mountain. It's sort of the first suburb as you head out of Cape Town, heading up the west coast.
Right. Oh, right. Well, my daughter and her husband run a hotel in Bantry Bay. Basically, it's his mother's place.
Which one? Elliman House?
No, it's called 52 Devet.
Okay, I know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of up the top end of the road.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to. I mean, I've painted up there actually at the top of the road, looking down to Camps Bay.
Yeah. There's some spectacular houses just round the corner in Nettleton Road above Clifton.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're like massive flying saucers almost.
It's a great place. I miss not being able to go there. I used to like going.
It's very spectacular in terms of landscape, the Cape Peninsula. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Amazing coastline.
Yeah.
The drive down to
Cape Point.
Cape Point, sorry. I'm trying to concentrate when I'm talking. It's difficult.
No, you do that.
Hold on.
I can see you just.
I'm getting all my measurements wrong, so I just need to concentrate a bit. A little bit higher. Not sure I've picked the best painting to do a demo. You know, once you get going on these things, sometimes you think, "Ooh, don't know if there's enough to get the teeth into." But...
Look, I have the same, Mark. if it doesn't look like them, you can just keep walking around the road until you find somebody it does look like.
Yeah. Okay. Need to squint more. Squint more. It really helps. I just don't. You lose the concentration sometimes and not stop squinting in it. Yeah, right. Bottom of the ear.
Hi, Mark, Ian here. Is the format, size and shape between your canvas and the iPad image almost the same?
Is the format of the canvas and the iPad the same? Did
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah.
No, it's a bit, but the iPad image is slightly longer. Slightly longer.
Okay.
It's weird. But I mean, for years, I just printed off images and used them, and in some ways, you see less, and it kind of works better in some ways. I find that I see so much in, and you know, hence the squinting. You see so much in these on these screens.
Yeah, yeah.
That it can get in the way.
Do you ever sort of render stuff down to neutral, you know, black and white, or just sort of black and white, just to look? I mean, I guess you're too professional.
Just to look at it, look at the values rather than, yeah, I do actually, yes, definitely. It can help. Right. So, is that chin looking a bit small? Another measurement. Constantly adjusting here. Yeah, could be a touch.
Sorry, Mark, what color are you using for the sketching?
I'm just using a mix of the red and black with a touch of, I think there's a touch of ochre in there to give me a brown. It's similar to burnt umber, really. But yeah, just I'm sticking with the limited palette on this. Just the 4 colours. Okay, right. Yes. So it doesn't look blurred. What you're seeing on screen doesn't look blurred out at all, does it? I just had a problem the other day with one. When I looked back at the video, I thought it wasn't as clear as it could be. Is it fine?
Yep, it looks fine, Mark.
Good.
The focus does pop from time to time, but that's, I think,
Does it?
Zoom. It's a Zoom issue, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't work it out. I was wondering whether it was a Zoom issue or whether it's my phone.
I tell you what it is. It's your phone looking for the focal range.
Yeah, so when I go in, it focuses on me, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, and it depends how your hand moves across.
Right. Yeah.
From time to time. But otherwise, it's perfect. Don't worry.
Good. Okay, well,
You're just about done.
it's pretty rough. Pretty rough. I'm just gonna. Some big white areas in there. I just want to make sure I've got those right. And also, it's way off just here as well.
Just to let everybody know that on the 22nd of May, so that's just in a couple of weeks, because of Mark joining us this morning, we've actually got Olivia, who's going to be a portrait sitter, so that you can all practice what Mark's shown us today in a couple of weeks' time. So everybody wake up and work out how you're going to do that, so that we can show them on the website as usual.
You got a live sitter, or are you doing a Zoom thing?
We're doing it Zoom, but it's going to be somebody who's sitting for us, just on a portraiture.
Right.
We do live classes, Mark, every couple of weeks on Zoom.
Oh, lovely.
In real life, obviously, we do them live, but it's been fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm kind of missing having sitters round, I must say. I just like having, get friends round most of the time.
I'll be up next week, Mark.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to start dropping in some colour now. I think I've roughly got something in place that I can work with. Okay. I'm just going to mix a bit of background colour as well, because I find it useful. Now it's quite blue in that image, but I'm just going to stick with this palette and see whether I can get something similar, just using the black, which is a very cool black, the ivory black. So it's useful to get a bit of background in to work out the colours against the skin tones against that background. And every now and again, when I do use this palette, I will slip in a bit of French ultramarine if I need the blue. It needs some. It can be useful to have some blue on the palette. I also find Naples yellow a useful colour as well. It's kind of a ready mixed pale, sort of palish skin tone that you can. It's a convenience colour basically. I don't have to mix so much.
Oops. Ian, Stanilan, we seem to have Anne Merriman sharing her screen with us. I don't know if everybody else has got that.
Yes, well, I have this weird problem too. Oh, here we are.
It's marvellous, Mark. Mark, it's marvellous when you put some of that background in. It really pushes the image forward.
Well, that's the beauty of the ground, is it's giving you a skin tone already, and as soon as you start putting the background in, that skin tone becomes more apparent. Now, as you can see, that looks quite blue. I don't know if you can see it that well on that screen.
Yes, we can.
But that's just ivory. That's just ivory black. I mean, I don't know. Does that take the glare off? I don't know. Probably that's far too dark, isn't it? That's just ivory black and white. So it can go quite blue, especially when you see it against a warmer colour. And then if I mix a little bit of white into that, you can give it, you can kind of give it a bit of variation. Anyway, I'm not here to paint backgrounds, but let's get that one brush out of the way.
Do you rinse your brushes in between, Mark, or do you just use fresh brushes?
A bit of both, really, but I do end up with, as you'll see, as I get going, I end up with about 4 or 5 brushes between my fingers, and then I have to give them a good old wash. But yeah, I mean, I don't just use, a couple of brushes. I've got a handful here.
You've got a hang of a lot in reserve on your windowsill alongside you.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah, you've got the windowsill and everything. Well, I've got this lot on my
Okay, fabulous.
side here.
She does like your rosemary, doesn't she?
She what?
She does
Rosemary?
like you.
Oh no, she doesn't give me any brushes. She did. I actually got in touch with her. I said, I do a few workshops here and there and demos and things. Could you give us a couple of t-shirts? And she sent me 2 t-shirts and a handful of brushes, which was really, really nice. But no, I spend a fortune on these things, don't you?
Definitely.
Right. So trying to work out what's this colour. So working from dark to light, I've got a mix of, well, you can see, as I said before, I've prepared a lot of colours, and I tend to mix from dark to light down the palette. So where my darks are, I mix the dark colours graduating down through to the light, and then some cools coming in from the black in this corner, some of the cooler colours that I mix into the flesh tones over here. And then there's some grey, which was a load of colour that I had left on a palette that I just mixed together, and it's left me with some grey ready to use. Okay, so dark down here. Squinting like crazy again. Looking for the broad shapes that make up his face. So big dark area coming down the side here. Now, obviously, there's some cool shadows as well, but I generally just put in the darkest ones I can see to start with.
Mark,
I've just been Mark, I've just been asked a question by Jean Bryant. Do you put any thinners in this paint when you're blocking in?
Yes, yeah. I'm working, fat over lean, so pretty thin to start with. Yeah, so Jackson's low odor thinners. I've switched from linseed oil to that because it's kind of, well, it says it's odorless. I don't think it's totally odorless, but especially after the lymphoma diagnosis, I thought I'd better be careful, stop putting brushes in my mouth and all that kind of thing, which I did tend to do. Probably gave me the lymphoma. Who knows? Right, so dark shape again, squint, dark shape here. Kind of got that in already. Again, I feel it's important to move around the canvas a lot, I feel, and pull it together as a whole rather than get bogged down in details such as eyes. And as you'll see, I tend to build the structure of the around the eyes before I get into the actual eye detail. And I think it's important, looking at it, I think it's important to get some of the hair in to judge the skin tone against the hair. I don't get too, you can see it goes quite blue, this black. Put a bit of ochre in the mix there. And work from dark to light, because you can always lighten. Put a touch of red in that just to muddy it up a little bit as well. You can always lighten over the dark, but not the other way around. I find when I teach now and again, and I find the biggest mistake is people they go too light too soon. I want to get all the highlights in far too soon. But then they find afterwards they need to darken up, and you go over the light areas and you pick up all the light and you can't darken up as you wish to.
That's a good tip, Mark.
Well, no, it's very true and very chalky. I find that there's people they go for the white too soon, and it all goes a bit chalky. So always go a bit darker. See, I'm looking at that there. I'm looking at that Mark, there and thinking, go on.
Sorry, what's your preference? Live sitters or Zoom?
Oh,
or using a tablet image?
Oh, a bit of both, really. I tend to, I work from photographs. That's a strange colour. Sorry, I'm just looking at that colour and thinking, it needs some white in it, some red in it, sorry, to muddy it up a bit. It's going a bit greeny. What I tend to do with sittings is I get people round and I'll paint them. I've got one tomorrow, actually. I'm going to go to the guy's house, paint him from life for over sort of 2 or 3 hours, probably 3 actually. And then, sorry, concentration. And then take photographs and work from those. But it just gives me an understanding of the character and personality of the person. It's good to get to know the person a bit. I usually have them around here and sit and listen to music and chat. Generally, we're talking so much that I can't really do a decent painting. It's it's more of a information gathering exercise, I think. Right. Now, I've avoided going too close to the head with that hair because it's dark where the skin meets the hair, and you don't want to get putting the light down too soon. Right, I'm just going to turn the heater off. Roasting in here at the moment. Okay. Thinners, keep it quite thin, but not too thin. And this is where as I said before, you can see too much on these. You know, I can see all these freckles and every little detail. So really important to squint and block all that detail out. And looking for warmth. You know, is it warm? Is it cool? Where are the warm areas? I mean, that's sort of graduating into the dark here. I find the forehead a good place to start working out colours. You've got a nice big area there to work things out. Now, obviously, there isn't a line as dark as that there, but there is a line there. But easier to knock it back if I go a bit dark than go the other way. So I'm not a fiddler. I'm more of a, I suppose I'm a bit, I jump around a lot. I work on my feet and I stand back a lot and move back and forth, squint. And if I fiddle, I don't think I do a very good job. Obviously fiddle at the end, you start putting in the finer detail, work yourself down to all the little details. But I think I'm more of an impulsive painter. Especially doing these demos, a lot of nervous energy comes into it.
I've just had a message from Dawn Cox saying, do you ever use liquid thinners?
I do. You know what? I use liquid. I found it useful for, I find it dries very quickly for me, and I like to work wet on wet. But I do find it useful for plein air painting. I like to get outdoors and do a few little plein airs now and again. And I find it great for that because it dries quickly. And you know, you're not slipping around on the board as you would. And it's great for taking on holiday as well, I find. You know, I can take the gear to Cape Town and do a little landscape in Franschhoek, and a day or two later it's dry, which is great. You know, you can fly back with stuff.
Do you take your oil paints on holiday? Because I thought they were always banned on aircraft.
You can, yeah. You can. I mean, I found some information. I downloaded this kind of thing that gives you all the flash points and everything, and it's like a sheet of paper with a list of, you know, all the flash points and things, and apparently you just show them that. But I've not had a problem so far. It's been fine. I mean, you wouldn't take terps on holiday. but you can take zest it. I've taken zest it before.
That's interesting. I know I've been on a few painting holidays overseas, and they've always said, oh, you've got to have water-based oils.
Right.
But
no, I've not had a problem.
But I like the idea of having a bit of paper with the flash points on, which you can show somebody.
Yeah, you can download that online. I'm just gonna. I just need to concentrate on something here. Again, I think I'm getting bogged down in seeing too much. Is it slightly purpley here? Another brush.
Do you know this chap that you're painting? Is he a friend?
Yeah. This guy's Alan. Actually, he's one of the first guys I went out for a beer with in the village. We live in a village, and he lives a few doors away from me. And we're both in bands. He's got a band called the Rocker Covers, and he's a singer and guitarist in that. And had our first beer, freezing cold, sat outside in a pub garden the other week. Poor guy's he's going through a divorce.
He'll be able to give this picture to her.
Depends how good it is. I don't think it'll be good enough. It won't be finished enough. Basically, he's poor guy's going through a divorce. His wife was an anti-vaccine and believed in all the conspiracy theories, and I think it's drawn a big wedge between them, and they've split. So he's feel sorry for him, really. He's on his own in this house and having to sell up.
I've just had a little message from Joe saying, can you explain fat over lean to her? Well, to all of us.
Yeah. Trying to explain it while I'm thinking about this.
No, when you can, no hurry.
Let me just concentrate on this for a minute. And when I get to a point where I feel I do get a bit of glare with this thing. Right, hold on, where are we going here? Don't get into the eyes, just do the socket area. A bit of yellow ochre in the grey, a bit more yellow ochre just for it's coming out a lot bluer than I wanted it to, but then dark, I can lighten that and change it as we go along. If it's too blue, stick a bit of red in it just to not dull it down a touch. Yeah, I find that I have to be very careful that when I clean in between applications, when I clean the brush, really get the thinners out, because you can end up all being a bit too thin and slippery, and you can get into a mess that way. Okay, where are we going now? Just gonna build up around the nose a bit. Yeah, so with this palette, if you want to go a bit, you want your reds to go a little pink, you just put a touch of black in there and mix with white, and it pinks it up a bit. Let's get another brush, might be a bit subtle that. So I'm sticking with fairly big brushes at the moment, size 8, short, flat. I like the squareness, the square marks you get with a short, flat. And I like brushwork, you know, I like to try and retain the brushwork as opposed to blending. So yeah, fat over lean. Basically, lean is very thin paint, as you probably know. Thin down with thinners or linseed oil, and then start very thin to avoid cracking afterwards. Because and also building the layers up, you want less thinners and more linseed oil, or very little in the way of solvent. I prefer to just drop the thinners and use pure paint, really. But if you're working, I think if you're working over a few days on something, paint can get a bit tacky, and the linseed oil will help the flow. So I'm seeing some sort of cooler, more. Yeah, but apparently, you know, if you don't work fat over lean, the paint will crack over time on the canvas as it dries. I mean, I've not experienced it myself, but because I've avoided it.
I think it only happens when you're famous, when you're really famous, when you're dead.
Yeah, in 100 years' time or something.
Yeah, that'll be the time when everybody's paint falls off the canvas, when they've got your. Mark, another thing you could probably explain to the people who aren't used to using oils, how you shouldn't use acrylic over oils, but when you can use acrylic. No,
you can't use acrylic. I mean, you can use as I said, my ground is acrylic. I mean, I don't always use an acrylic ground. Sometimes I use red oxide, which is very kind of orangey, which can give you a nice tone to work into, a nice ground to work into. But yeah, acrylic ground, canvas over the top works well for me. With did I just say canvas over the top? I'm trying to concentrate. Oil over acrylic works well for me. But years ago actually, I did used to do underpaint. I do like a sketch out, like this initial sketch out in acrylic, in burnt sienna, I think it was. I used to use a mix of burnt sienna with a little bit of ultramarine, and I think I used some white as well to light for some of the lighter areas. And yeah, I used to do more accurate underpaintings then than I do now. Now I tend to just sort of go get it down quite loosely and just go for it, as I did this morning. Probably not the best underpainting I've ever done this morning, but or sketch out, but it's anyway, right, let's keep going. Oh, found a big dollop of yellow ochre in the middle of my palette. Where did that come from?
Do you like to keep the paint from previous activities on your palette, or do you clean your palette off every time before every session?
I tend to keep it on if I'm working over a few days. I'll just put a bit of cling film over it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, just put a bit of cling film over it if it's a 3-day job or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm not into those big mountains of paint on the palette that some people. I can't imagine having that on the palette, just growing and growing over the years. Plus, I tend to stand with the palette in my hand, and it would be a bit heavy. But just a bit about the palette. I bought this palette about a year ago. I had a smaller one, but this Zecchi palette from Florence. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but God, what a difference! It's got like a piece of lead in it, and it's weighted really well. Getting on a bit now, and I'm starting to get a bit of arthritis or something in my arm. So I thought I'd better get something that would help that. And this has been brilliant. I tried a few palettes, and some of them are so heavy. It's really badly made. But this one, I mean, it wasn't far off 100 quid, but well worth it.
You didn't go to Italy to fetch it then?
No, I wish I could. I'm half Italian. I've got family over there. We used to have a place. Actually, had a place there a couple of years ago, but we sold it. My wife was fed up with going to Italy every year, but I do miss it.
Oh.
I love the hospitality. The family hospitality is amazing. I just love it. Actually, we've still got a place. So we've got an old house on a derelict house on a patch of land that we need to sell now. I'm not going to develop it now. I'm not working.
Whereabouts are you? Where's the family from?
South of Naples, a little village called Oliveto Citra, which is in the Salerno area, but south inland. Lovely little town, actually. But sort of historical. Used to have a castle on top of the town, on the top of the hill, and the town sort of spirals up a hill. And of course, they've got a church where a kind of church chapel area where the Madonna was spotted. The usual thing. And all these Italians go there to pilgrimages, go there to, with candles to the spot where she was seen. But strangely enough, my mum's cousin's husband came from America and opened up a jewellery shop in the town. And not long after that, his kids were out with a bunch of mates, and they saw the Madonna. You do wonder, whether it's a publicity thing just to get some tourists into the town, into his shop.
Yeah. I've just been asked, can you please repeat the name of your palette?
Zecchi. Zecchi. It's nice. It's a good size as well. I mean, if you can see the size there, it's just really nice to work with. It's made a big difference. Although I still get an achy arm now and again. But I mean, if you stand up all day with a palette in your hand, you're bound to, aren't you? Really.
There's probably something that's been made with wheels on,
With wheels, yeah. I'm sure I could. I did consider getting like a really tall bench, like a pub stool or something, and putting the palette on that, stack it up next to me. But I don't know. No, I kind of like to have it in my hand. I've got used to it. I don't think I could do it another way. Although every now and again I'll sit down. When I get to sort of little details at the end, I might sit down at the easel. Right, how are we doing for time? Just over an hour. Start speeding up.
Do you want me to stop talking to you? You did ask me to keep talking.
No, you keep talking. I like the talking. I mean, sometimes it's difficult to answer questions when I'm concentrating, but do keep talking. Although, does the camera go to you when you're talking?
No, you're on spotlight, mate. You're on full view.
That's good. How do you do that? Because I find that I set the thing up sometimes, and when the person on the other end's talking, the camera will flip to them.
Ian Staniland, can you answer that one, please? Oh, he's not hit there.
He's probably thinking if he comes on, the camera will go to him. And
No.
I'm with you.
How do we put it on spotlight? Where's the feature on Zoom?
You go to whoever's speaking or the picture you want to spotlight. There are 3 little dots in the top right-hand corner, and one of the options is spotlight.
Spotlight.
Yeah.
But you do have to remember to tell the people who are speaking to unmute themselves.
Yeah.
That's,
as well, because the host should mute everybody.
Yeah. No, I do that.
we actually have quite a nice crowd today. We've got 34 people.
Oh, excellent. That's good. I had, what did I have the other day? I only had 8 for one the other day, but it was it wasn't an art society. It was basically a group called the Art Events Group, and a lady, she lays on classes and things like that. So that was a different sort of setup. But I've had 50 plus before, which was quite a big one. But it's great. In a way, it's quite nice, this Zoom thing. I like it as a bit of a social as well, because you don't see many people in the studio day in, day out. You have too long with your own thoughts, really.
Mark, you should join us. We'd like you. You join our club and you can join every activity we do on Zoom.
You're just a bit of a distance. I need to move. I need to get down to the coast.
No, you don't need to know we're on Zoom. You just join. You can be our Zoom member.
Oh right, okay. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we've got members who are overseas as well now.
Have you?
We've got somebody in France. Had somebody in trying to think, Scandinavia. So yeah.
Wow, blimey.
You can visit us live. Don't worry. You can visit us anytime.
It's the cost of staying over. That's the only problem. I have got a relative who lives in near Trowbridge. I've got a cousin out that way, which isn't a million miles away, is it? Near Bath.
No.
Right. To concentrate. So yeah, I'm looking for like the broader shapes and forms that make up Alan's head. Okay, where are we going now? So I'm thinking, what's the next thing that I need to do to start molding this head? I kind of think of it as a sculpture at the end of the day, the 3D form that I need to mold and form. I need to mix more colour with a knife, really, but I've got to. It's a speed thing, and it might just hold things up a bit too long.
Don't worry, Mark. Do what you feel most comfortable with.
Okay. Right. So. Looking for some of the cool tones in the face, the grey greens and bluey kind of greys. You get that nice play of cool against warm, which start pulling it together. There's some cool in there. There's some cool going down there.
I see the pictures that you sent me, Mark. You've got a lovely lady with a mask on who's obviously a doctor or a nurse. Was this a lockdown challenge that you had?
Oh, that was the Portraits for NHS Heroes thing. Did you, that initiative that was all over Instagram?
Yeah, that was quite early on, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a guy called Tom Croft. He's a friend of mine, fellow member of Oxford Art Society, who came up with the idea, and it really took off, didn't it?
Yeah, really fantastic picture.
I'd imagine some of your members would have got involved in that one.
Yeah, one or two sent things in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did one for them. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Sophie. Sorry, I'm breaking the rules and saying hello.
Oh no, you carry.
That was a great initiative, I thought, and yeah, he's done really well out of that, Tom. He's now a BME, I think, a British Empire member or something. It's not an MBE, but something similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the competitions you've been involved in and the different bits and bobs.
Yeah, I mean, I did well last year. Not so well this year. Actually, this year I won a Oxford Art Society in our members exhibition, which was only online, unfortunately, as things have been the way they are. I won the members honorary prize for a knife painting that I did. Honorary members prize, actually. So one of the honorary, three or four honorary members, and they decide on a painting or a sculpture or whatever that they feel warrants this prize. And I won it for a knife painting I did of my hand over my apron. I called it paint splattered apron, basically. This paint splattered apron with a palette knife in my hand over the front of it. So I did that one. I was quite surprised to get something for. And then last year I put a self-portrait called The Diagnosis, one of myself that I did when I got diagnosed with lymphoma. I was going to do a triptych, but I changed my mind. I thought it was a bit grim, so I just did 2 in the end. Anyway, it got into the Royal Society of British Artists exhibition at the Mall Galleries, and I got this email, which was a really nice surprise, saying it had won the Winsor and Newton painting prize. So that's why I got 500 quid's worth of Winsor and Newton paint. But you don't get the discount if you win a prize like that. You have to get the paint from Winsor and Newton directly, and they're not discounted in the way that they are with you know, the likes of Jackson's.
So it's probably only 300 quid worth really then.
Yeah, probably that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I've had work accepted for the Royal Society of Portrait Painters exhibition on a few occasions up in London, 3 occasions to be exact. And I've had lots of, over the years, what they call doubtfuls. In the old days, you didn't submit online; you just send them straight, take them in. You know, basically you have to drive into London with them, and then you'd get a piece of paper in the post that basically indicated whether you got a D, an A for accepted, a D for doubtful, and I think it was an R for rejected or something. I'm not sure, something like that. It's all a bit cruel, really. It's not really. It's horrible when you find out you don't get stuff in, or you don't even get a look in some years. But great when you do. You know, I'm just pleased that I've managed to crack it on a few occasions.
Mark, you're getting into detail now.
Sorry?
You're getting into detail now, I see. A little bit more detail work coming in on the portrait.
Still blocking in. Yeah, I need to concentrate, actually. I'm going to stop talking for a little bit and just really go for it. It's hit and miss as to whether I can achieve anything half decent in the time. It's kind of quite a lot of pressure. More often than not, I end up finishing them up a little bit afterwards. But I've got to go and see my mum today, so I don't think I'll be doing that. I'm dropping off a portrait that I've just varnished. So I did a portrait about 6 months ago, and obviously you can't varnish it. I just put exhibition varnish on. Robeson's exhibition varnish I used, and you can varnish straight over the top of that 6 months later. Right, so some warmth in there, a bit more red in that area here. Sounds like someone's making a cup of tea.
Yeah, I do apologise. I tried to explain to my husband that I wasn't on mute as he was asking me if he wanted me to
All right.
have a cup of tea, and if I helped him to water my greenhouse, which is interesting.
I've done one of these before where somebody wasn't on mute, and you could hear her husband come in and say, "Would you like a cup of tea, love?" in the background. So what's Bristol like to live?
Marvellous. You're missing a trick, Mark. Everybody should live near Bristol.
Yeah, it looks great. Well, you know what? I did an ancestry thing, and a mate of mine did it for me, actually, because he was really into all that. I found out that's where my family started out, basically. The name Fennell came from a guy in Bristol way back. Yeah.
Is that the Italian side?
No, that's my mum's side. This was my dad's side, and I thought my dad was from Newcastle. He was a Geordie. So again, just useful to get, whatever, get the clothes and background in, it really helps you work out the color of the skin against. And that's just enough, you know, you don't have to get into any great detail. I'm just gonna have a little brush cleanup. I've got like 3 on the go in between my fingers and then another 3 in the pot. But if, a good chance to ask questions now.
Mark, it's 10 to 12, just to give you an up on the time.
Whoa,
Not
I need
that
to
we're
speed. I need to speed up.
I just thought I'd tell you what time we're at.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. You think I should have gone a bit further than this by now?
No.
This is where it gets like the Grand National when I start racing along. Right. Brushes.
I think we're going to have a problem when you're going to have to race down the road to your mate to see if it looks like him.
Right. Some brushes out of the pot, that's good. They just get in the way if you leave them all in the cleaning pot. Right, excuse my shoulder in the way for all this time. Okay, back to it.
Just quickly, Mark, how do you know when it's finished? This is what everybody wants.
Oh no, I find that that's very hard. I don't know, when I've stopped fiddling. It's not going to be finished today. I don't know, it's a weird one. I mean, sometimes I can crack out a painting quite quickly, especially when I'm under pressure. But if you've got the luxury of time, you tend to sort of fiddle more, don't you? And to the detriment of the painting, I think. And this is where I think, have I gone a bit too light there? Sometimes it's worth just trying it before you commit. Don't know what the weather is like where you are, but it's blowing a gale out there and really wet. Horrible. Not very spring-like.
No, it's the same here, Mark.
I'm just trying to get a bit sort of square with the brush marks, put in kind of broad shapes, I suppose, facets really, looking for those sort of big facets and broad shapes. Turn that off for a second.
Mark, should we ask you how much your commissions are? Or is it like asking a farmer how many sheep he's got?
No, it's fine. I kind of start out at, for Head and Shoulders, £1,000. I mean, it was a little bit more when I was working full time, 1,200. But I figured I'm not working full time now. I haven't got the income, and I could do with a little bit more, you know, work. Although at the moment I'm cursing it. It's just too much. I mean, I've got one on the go of three children for somebody's father's 80th or 70th birthday. I just don't know, I'm not enjoying it really. I just want to get into painting some characters again. I'm looking forward to this guy I'm going to meet tomorrow. See, that's a bigger portrait. That's like a 3/4 length, you know, including hands and things. So a bit more work involved there. Okay, color down here. So the darker tone under the nose. So much to do in such a little time.
I think you're doing a marvellous job, Mark.
Do you? Oh, thanks. I don't know. You never know with these things. It can can go either way.
Have you ever fancied joining the Sky Portrait Artist?
Well, you know what? Yeah, I did a thing years ago, which was called a brush with fame. And to be honest, it's a lot of pressure. I was on the TV on three occasions or four? I don't know. I got to a sort of what they called the wild card final, which was where Anthony Worrell Thompson picked mine as his favourite, which took me on to the next stage. I mean, the judges picked another one, you know, something a bit weirder or whatever, like they do. And yeah, I got to that stage, and then a young student guy won that one. He knocked out me and, do you know Adebanji, Adelaide, but Royal Oil Institute guy? I was up against him as well, and this young guy won that heat. But it's a lot of pressure. I mean, you know, you're standing under hot lights for hours on end. Well, hours on end, not enough hours, 4 hours I think it was. And I don't think they did get in touch with me a while back, but I wasn't too well, and I just thought, no, I don't think. Anyway, I'm getting on now. I don't want to see myself on TV. It's bad enough looking back at the videos. Yeah, there was a guy from your neck of the woods on there. I can't remember his name. He was on the last one I saw. A good portrait painter. I think he's from Bristol. God, what was his name?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know if Ian Price has been on it.
Ian Price. Oh, I know. Actually, I know him on Instagram, I think, if it's the same guy.
Yeah, he's one of our members. He asked if we were recording today because he wants to watch it afterwards.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm friends with him on Instagram. I didn't realise. Oh, he's good. He's into plein air, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, he's very good.
And portraiture.
Yes.
I think he gets Andrew Farmer down to do some classes sometimes.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. I know him. Royal Oil guy. Well, he's a fairly recent member, isn't he, Andrew Farmer? Yeah. Is he one of the Northern lot, isn't he? They call themselves the Northern Boys or something, I think, from what I remember.
Well, there's a lot of them around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they still call themselves boys as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
So Mark, tell us where you're at now with your painting. Give us a little insight into how you think you're going to progress.
I'm still blocking in, still sculpting, trying to get the form. I feel as though I've got 25 minutes. Haven't got loads of time, so I feel as though I've got to what's gonna put it together and make it look impressive for this demo, basically. What can I do? What's going to do the job? Difficult to see my canvas. I mean, I'm sorry I can't show you the canvas as much as I'd like to. The canvas, the palette, as much as I'd like to. It would stop me to keep holding it up. I bet you have demos where people just have the palette, have everything on show while they're painting.
Everybody's different, Mark. Everybody's different, and I think it's really difficult on Zoom because you have to as an artist. You can't just do it for our benefit because you've got to be able
No.
to
No, exactly. I mean,
You've
I'd
got
need a,
paint.
yeah, I think I'd need another camera on the go to do that. Do you ever get Roger Della? He seems to be a popular Zoom guy.
No, we don't. Is he worth watching, do you think?
Yeah. I've not actually watched him on Zoom, but I've been out painting with him. I went to one of his things at the Mal Galleries years ago, and he's a Royal Oil Institute guy and very good. I mean, his plein air, he's so very good plein air painter, very fast. So I think you'd get a good plein air demo out of him. Funnily enough, I was doing a demo. I can't remember what the group was now, somewhere around Surrey, but and he popped up. He ended up watching me. So that was a lot of pressure. You know, you feel the pressure, don't you, when you get a guy like that?
Yeah, well, you don't know who you've got in our audience yet. You be careful.
No, I hope you haven't got David Cobley or somebody like that.
Yeah, he's here.
Is he? Get out. It's enough pressure just doing it off for yourself, you know, getting it right for yourself, let alone having someone like that turn up. Of course, you've got Peter Brown up there as well, haven't you? Pete the Street.
Pete the Street is a fantastic artist, isn't he?
Isn't he? So good. I mean, he strikes me as very down to earth as well.
I don't know him personally, but I've chatted
No, I
to
don't.
him when he's been painting, and he's really happy to talk to people, you know.
Yeah, I can.
Well, he didn't
imagine.
have much of a choice with me, but I think he
He
genuinely.
he didn't have a choice with you.
Well, of course not, you know.
I can imagine. No, but when I'm outdoors, I mean, I don't do as much of that as I'd like to, but I don't mind it when people come up and have a little chat. Part of it. Especially these days, you don't see people enough, do you?
I guess it depends where you're painting, though. If you're in the middle of a street like he is, like, he's got to crack on because he'd be talking.
Of course, yeah. A lot of pressure. Time. I mean, the light changes so fast, doesn't it?
Mm.
But I find it, I mean, it's not something I do often, but when I do it, I love it. I find it really exciting, especially when clouds are moving fast and you've got to work very quickly. You're really thinking on your feet. Right. So much to do. Eyes, nose, there's loads of it. Where do I go next? I've got to get some eyes done, haven't I? Okay. Bit of coolness around the moustache area. I think I'm talking more in this one than I normally do. I did ask for it though, didn't I?
Yep, we don't mind. You've managed to keep everybody riveted. So.
Oh God. Ooh, that looks too green. Hang on. Right, let's see if we can do something here. Right, jumping around a bit. I'm going to jump to around the eyes. See if I can get something done around this area.
Is that the key to a portrait, Mark?
What's that?
The eyes.
No, I don't think so. I think the key to it is getting the structure of the head right. I mean, obviously the eyes will light the whole thing up and bring it to life, but I think the key is getting all the proportions right and getting the structure of the head. As I keep saying, I think just sort of try and build it as if it was a sculpture, really. You know, like you're molding it out of clay. Right, let's mix a brown, the yellow ochre, some red. Right. So I tend to just try and put that iris in a position as in one broad stroke, and then break it down after that. Again, as I said, I tend to work my way up to the eyes, try and get the structure around the eyes right first, you can easily get it wrong if you go in too soon.
What size brush have you got now, Mark?
I've gone down to a 6 because I'm just sort of getting into some bit more detail around the eyes. So another guy that I enjoyed. I went to one of his workshops at the Male Galleries, was Tim Benson, and he just uses one brush and like a really big, like a size, I don't know what it was, like a 12 or something, really probably bigger than that actually, for the whole thing. So between every application, he's cleaning his brush, and his work's just so powerful and bold. Really great, great to watch him paint. But how he did that, how he does it with the one big brush, he's constantly cleaning that brush. It's a lot of.
I've just had a chat.
Stopping and starting. Go on.
I've just had a chat from Andres, and he said, which is the smallest size brush you tend to use?
Oh, it's just a little. I'll use a little round, size 1. I think it is a size 1 round, just for little highlight in the eye, that kind of thing. Which I don't even know we're going to get to today. Where are we? Right.
Not panicking. You're doing marvelous. I think it's nearly finished.
Well,
12:19. 12:19, Mark.
Sorry, say that again.
12:19.
Okay. It's actually quite a good thing to give yourself a bit of pressure like this. I think it's a bit like painting from life, isn't it? When you've got a model and you've got a short pose, it's good practice, I think.
I always feel like you could do with if you're painting a portrait from life, you could do with a few warm-ups though before you crack on to it.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. Oh, I keep looking at areas and thinking I need to do that bit. No. There's so much, so much. Right.
Mark, hi, it's Ian here again. Is that image about life size that you're painting?
This, yes,
Yeah.
it probably is actually, yes. Definitely. Maybe a touch bigger.
We've got another question. Yeah.
Sorry, Ian. I was just going to say, ask Mark, have you ever been asked to paint anybody as though they were 30 years younger? Like they used to be in the old days?
Yes, you know what? I had a recent commission. It was a posthumous portrait for a guy's. It was just, hang on, trying to concentrate here. It was his father's 80th birthday, I think, and they wanted he wanted a portrait of his grandfather in his old lieutenant's uniform from the war, which was interesting. He sent me loads of black and white pictures and some more sort of recent ones. Yeah, it was quite a challenge, but quite a nice one. You know, I mean, I'd say no to a portrait like that, but he sent me such good reference that I went for it, and he was really chuffed with it. His dad was actually surprised that I'd got a likeness of the guy in his younger years. What a horrendous day it is. Nice day to be painting, really.
Nice day to stay in bed.
Yeah, get back to bed after this.
Mark, another question. Have you used any linseed oil yet?
Not at all, no. No linseed. Just pure paint at the moment, really. I mean, I'd build it up a bit thicker, but it's just a time, you know. I'm trying to crack this out as quickly as possible. And to be honest, I'd be using the palette knife a bit more than I am. But just feel a bit up against it. So
At what stage would you use a palette knife then, all the way through?
no, I'm not talking about palette knife painting. Just for mixing the colours
Oh, I
on the
see.
on the palette. But yeah, no, palette knife painting is something I do, and I really enjoy it. But it's a different ball game really to this.
Andreas is just praising you, saying it's fantastic how you can get so much detail with a flat brush.
Oh, it's miles off. I feel I feel like I've got so much more to do. But thank you, Andreas. Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, trying to avoid little details and just putting in broad shapes with the flat of a brush, for me, how it works. Hold on. Right, what's this bit here? I'll find another big brush. Ooh, brushes out of my hand. Too many brushes on the go. Right, I'm try and do a little bit of detail around the eye. Now, this is going in a lot sooner than I'd want to normally, because I'd obviously want to be working on that structure of the eye, the eyelids, sockets, everything around that eye before I get into this. Oh, what's that bit there? There's a gap there. Right. Okay, so I'd start putting in the whites of the eyes. But put it in sort of fairly dark, and then work down to, so you don't go too light too soon. Bit of yellow ochre, bit of black. There's even a touch of red in there. So use the flat of the brush, the edge of the brush, whatever it takes to get those shapes in. A bit more yellow ochre maybe in that area. And there's a dark, I don't know if my shoulder's getting in the way of this, possibly.
No, you're all right. You're all right, Mark.
I'm trying to keep out of it. Obviously, I've just got big square shapes for the irises in there at the moment. So there's adjustments to be made. Actually, I can just do that by taking a corner off here. I'm a bit clumsy there. Went straight into the iris, but I can tidy that up again. And then getting into the eyes, away from the eyes then suddenly. Right. So that one's not quite round. I'll tell you what, they're not perfect shape and you probably all want to get away by now. So I'm just going to do this very, very quickly.
No one's left yet, Mark.
Good.
We've had loads of compliments. I've not been reading them out to you. Don't want to make you too big. Don't want to make you too big. Mark.
But send them over. Email me some compliments so I can stick them on my blog, on my website. Keep a few more of these demos and some teaching coming in. I don't want to be totally retired. I think life would be a bit boring. So I just kind of roughly put the pupils in, and then there's a bit of dark. Oh, steady. A bit of dark at the top here. I mean, obviously, I can't put loads of detail in at this point. So, you know, not getting into details like eyelashes, just looking for broad shapes and piecing it together. And then you can go back in and usually get a bit of a dark ring around the edge of the eye. You can go back in and you know, start tickling in those little bits. But hang on. Nearly there. Right. So some light in the iris, some lighter brown, so a bit of yellow ochre, touch of red. There's a bit of black in there as well. Is that the right colour? Bear with me a minute. And just sweep some inside the dark ring on the outer edge. So retaining some of the dark. Not sure I got the right colour here. A bit more yellow ochre. Touch of red, that's gone orange, hang on. There's a touch of black as well. Muddy it up a little bit. Bit of light coming in that side. Maybe it's just a touch more in there. I think I just went over the pupil a little bit. I'm just going to re-establish. that a touch. As you can see, it's a case of sort of going back in and refining and tweaking and fiddling. Got quite a hard edge, you can soften that edge a little bit. Back in with the blue, the bluey grey, just to blur that kind of edge slightly. I think I'm fiddling too much. Right, I'll just put some little highlights in, and then we'll be done. I mean, obviously it's not completely done, but and they're never as white as you think. There's a bit of blue in there, a bit of grey, and just careful not to go too light with these. Okay. And no thinners, get the paint fairly thick for this on the end of your brush. I see I might have gone a little bit too light with that. No, sorry. Is that someone just left?
No, I'm sorry, it's me. I'm
Is that time up? Time up.
no, not at all. Sorry about that. It's a text. I'm supposed to be viewing a house for my daughter.
Ah, right. Ah.
But it's later, so don't worry, Mark. We've got all day.
Sorry.
Ha ha.
Oh, 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
No, you carry on.
Well, that's the kind of principle anyway. I mean, it's not, obviously it's not finished, but and there's more work to do. Oh, no, that's too thick. Let's take a thinner brush, smaller brush. There's a little chink of light in there. I'll stop in a minute. Find that under this sort of pressure, that the mixing the colours, I'm doing it a lot quicker than I normally would, and it's kind of hit and miss as to whether I get the colour right. A bit more pink. I'm not even cleaning my brush for this, so it's just going for it. Ah, you see that? I slipped. Should be steadying my arm with a mile stick or something.
Do you ever use mile sticks, or do you just tend to?
I do actually, yeah. I've got one just by the side of me. Funnily enough, when I did that thing called A Brush with Fame years ago, the judges came around, picked up my mile stick, and said, "What's this?" And basically, it was an old sock tied to the end of a bamboo stick. But they were taking the mick out of me a little bit. I just turned around and said, "You know what it is." Next time I went down the local pub, somebody had seen it and going, "You know what it is." I was being a bit arsey with them, but I should have bought something a bit more professional for a TV show like that. Right, I should stop really, shouldn't I? My time's
Yes. Why not, Mark?
My time's well up.
We are 12:43.
Are we? Blinking heck. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, how long do you think it will take you to finish, Mark? I mean, it looks finished to me.
I reckon another couple of hours I could have something close to finished. I mean, there's a fair bit to do still, but as you can see, lots of adjustments can be made as you go along. It's not, it wasn't an accurate sketch out. I just kind of did it pretty quickly, and now I'm sort of looking at it and thinking, right, I need to make all my keep adjusting it.
Can I just ask
Anyway.
Would you ever glaze when it's dry, Mark, over areas?
Yeah, that's not something that I'm really into, to be honest. So no, I should try it, but I enjoy just working
Wet into wet.
wet into wet. Yes, yeah. I really like working this way. It's all I know really, and I'm not into sort of blending as such. I kind of like the fact that it's free and you can see the brush strokes. And you can see these kind of hard edges, but you can just sort of soften up. You can soften up with a kind of mid-tone running between the light and dark.
Fantastic, Mark.
Yeah, time to finish.
Yeah, regrettably, I think we should let some of these people go and have their lunch.
Yes, sure.
But if you are
Sure.
doing work on it, we'd love to see it a little bit more finished. But I think it looks fantastic as it is.
Yeah, well, I've got to. Yeah, I don't think I'll do much more because I've got to go and drop this portrait off and see my mum. So, but yeah. Oh, thanks for booking me.
It's our pleasure.
I can't stop.
Well, I'm so impressed that you're so enthralled by your neighbour.
Oh, Alan will love this.
Does it make it any easier when you know the person, personal?
Yeah, I think so. I think it does. But you know what? I was looking at it at the start, thinking, "Oh, have I picked the wrong subject here?" Yeah.
Sophie Gallia says, thank you very much. Impressive.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Sophie. Right, I'm going to stop.
Brilliant.
I can't stop
Yeah.
though. I
We've
can't
got
bloody-
1 or 2 people leaving us now, so it would be nice to give them the opportunity to ask any questions
Yes,
or anything.
Do.
If that's all right with you, Mark.
of course. Yeah, do. Definitely.
If anybody wants to unmute themselves, please do and ask Mark any questions.
A deathly silence.
Well, we have been having questions on chats as we've been going along, so.
I'm going to turn it. I'm going to go portrait now, so that I can. There we go. I'm in the
There.
picture now, I think. Okay, that's better. Right, ask away.
Carolyn here. Can I just ask you a question about your rosemary brushes? Because they do a variety of different synthetic.
Yeah, I go. I go
what
for
do
the
you
classic.
like?
I go for the classic short, flat hogs. So the classic range are a mix of hog and synthetic. And for me, I did used to use Pro Art, but I kind of like these. I think they hold the shape a bit better for longer. But I also use ivory, the ivory range for. I use actually a small round ivory because that holds its shape well for little things like highlights. And I use the ivory for every now and again. I'll do something in acrylics. It's not something I do regularly, but I do tackle portraits in acrylics, and I find the ivory range really good for that.
Yeah, I've got some of those I got recently because there's such a range of different synthetic replacements for hogs. It's quite hard to work out what is actually a good version.
Well, I spend so much money on them, and I just think, the classic range are a good affordable brush. She does the chunking, and there's there's also, it's too expensive. I don't want to spend that much money on it. As I said, it's not a full-time job. So,
right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Jackson's thinner that you started out with, what is that actually made of? Is that like a mixture of terps and oil, or is it just terps?
It's just a terpsy mix, so it's just a solvent for thinning the paint. So it's just for diluting the colour. And what's it got in it? God, it's a whole list of things. My God.
I suggest you eat it or drink it.
Far too technical for me.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's mostly just thinning. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly just thinning. But I mean, I'm looking at this painting and thinking, right, I'd want to cool it all down a little bit as well. It's quite warm, isn't it? So yeah, there's a fair bit of work to do still.
Mark, what did you clean your brushes out with when you were swishing them around?
That's the odorless thinners. Jackson's, Jackson's Shell Sol, it's called.
Oh, right.
Odorless thinners, yeah.
I think your mate's looking good, Mark.
Think what is?
I think he's looking good.
He's a way off, but yeah, he's getting there.
Would you really spend another 2 hours?
Well, another hour. I think another hour would be good on it, wouldn't it? 1 hour maybe. But I could spend 2 hours on it easily. It's just that thing about, when to stop fiddling, isn't it, really? But yeah. No, there's lots of areas that I think I could improve. And yeah, I don't know. I could spend a lot longer on it.
Well, perhaps we should say thank you very much to Mark and wish him all the luck for the future. And we will be seeing you live if you wish to come to Bristol at some stage.
Yeah, it's just a case of where would I stay and the cost of that. That's the thing.
We've got campsites available, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. Pitch up a tent.
I'm sure we can sort something out for you.
If somebody's got a nice, you know, a nice little little place off their house, I could stay in that. But yeah.
I'm sure we can find you a little flat somewhere.
Yeah.
Looking
Sure,
over the suspension bridge.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Okay,
much, Mark.
brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Thanks
you.
for booking me.
Mark, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Thanks for booking
Thanks,
me.